These days, all around the world, everyone knows what time it is. But before the accolades and the fame,
congratulations to Damian Lillard.
The All-Stars and the playoff buzzer beaters.
Lillard, long-range three, and it's good at the buzzer!
In his own words, and from those who know him best, this is the unlikely journey of a two-star prospect from deep East Oakland, who went from a mid-major to an all-time great.
It's Lillard. He got the shot off.
I'm Chris Haynes, and you're listening to Behind the Bucks, the Damian Lillard story, presented by Gallagher on the Bucks Plus Audio Network. This is episode 2, The House That Dame Built. When the Trailblazers drafted Damian Lillard in 2012 with the number 6 pick in the NBA draft, I was just beginning my second season covering the team as a beat reporter. I just remember there being a lot of uncertainty in whether this point guard from Weber State could make the jump from a mid-major to the major leagues. And then sitting down with me after a Bucks practice, Dame explained to me his mentality going into that rookie season.
When I think of the Trailblazers, I think of LaMarcus Aldridge, So when I got there, I'm like, I get to play with LA, Like, I'm going to be the point guard. He's at the 4. Like, we're going to be a duo. So when I get there, that's all I was really focused on is, like, I want to show him, like, I can be your running mate, I'm not trying to outdo you. Like, it's your show, but, like, I'm going to be right there with you,
They said he had a lot of potential, and obviously everyone's seen highlights, how good he was.
For franchise star LaMarcus Aldridge, he initially didn't know what to think about his new teammate.
He really didn't know what to think, so kind of took it with a little grain of salt, and, they understood it was time to get better. I feel like we had a down year, kind of rebuilding year, so they understood, like, the focus of the task at hand was to get better. So, I believed in them, and obviously they were right.
But it did not take long for Dame to show the world he belonged.
Trying to put a cap on it here. Lillard to the rim, scores!
In 4 years of college, 7 exhibition games, and finally opening night for you in the NBA. How'd you feel about your play?
I felt real good, man. We got a home game. The crowd was really going, and my teammates made shots. Once they made all those shots, everything started to open up for me to score buckets. So I got to give it all to my teammates.
Beginning of the season, October 2012, it's actually Halloween night, and they were playing the Lakers.
Nate Jones, an agent at Goodwin Sports, the agency that represents Dame, recalled Dame's historic regular season debut with the Trailblazers.
They had a starting lineup of Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant, Dwight Howard, Pau Gasol, and Ron Artest, Metta World Peace. Coming to that game, all eyes were on that. And Dame came out and had a game beyond 5 best rookie debuts in NBA history, like up there with Allen Iverson and guys of that nature. So, after the game, we all were hyped and coming to him and telling him, what records he broke and, thinking about that. His family's all in the back area of the Moda Center. And Dame just, walks over off to the side to me and he's like, bro, I got something to tell you. Like, what's up, man? And he goes, bruh, I can rap. Oh man, what do we have here?
After seeing him up close and getting to know him, LaMarcus Aldridge knew he could count on Dame as a teammate.
You got to understand him as like a person, as a player. You understand that he's going to work hard, be in the gym. He loves to hoop. He's a big student of the game. So I think you could see his growth happening so fast. I think by the end of the season, I don't think anyone was surprised. I think he came with the confidence and the belief to really make those huge shots. And I think he backed it up, by actually working hard and trying to understand how to play with different guys and things like that.
In a season that would eventually culminate in a Rookie of the Year award, Dame was a fast rising star for the Trailblazers franchise, which afforded him opportunities he didn't anticipate.
I got like a couple Rookie of the Months and, I had a couple big games. I just remember it would be like practice would be over. I would finish shooting with DV and I'd be like one of the last people around the facility, and they'll be like, hey, Dame, like, this gonna take about, 30 minutes, or this gonna take about an hour. Do you want to do this real quick? Like, they got your uniform in your locker just in case, stuff like that. And I would go in the locker room. I'd be like, cool, I'll do it. It ended up being something where I looked like the representation for the Blazers.
Dame was even able to build new relationships with business leaders in Portland, including with Dr. William Johnson, the president of Moda Health.
My relationship with Dame actually started as we did the naming rights for the, at the time, Rose Garden, which then became the Moda Center.
As Dr. Johnson led the initiative to make Moda Health the new naming rights sponsor of the Trailblazers Arena, he understood quickly that fans would be flocking to the newly named Moda Center to see the team's point guard, Damian Lillard.
At the time, he was just coming off of his rookie season. In fact, watching him on the court, and I said, wow, that this will be a great connection. I think it was just fortuitous that we made that connection. But I will say, if we reflect back on it now, say 6 months or a year into the deal, it clearly became the house that Dame built. The Moda Center did. No question about it.
In just his second season on the team, a sellout crowd at the Moda Center witnessed Dame hit a series-ending shot against the Houston Rockets to propel the team to the second round of the playoffs for the first time in 14 years.
Foul to give for Houston. 9/10 left. A 3 wins the series. It's Lillard. He got the shot off. Lillard, good! And the Blazers win the series for the first time in 14 years!
LaMarcus Aldridge, who averaged almost 30 points and 11 rebounds in the series, reflected on how much that moment meant to him.
It was big time. We battled that whole series and definitely wanted to, get out of the first round. So when we went into that series, I told everybody, I said, hey, like, we're going to win the series and we're going to go get the first 2 games. And I don't know if everyone believed it, but I did. And I think, he played great. I tried to do my part also, but to cap it off with a shot of that magnitude was, pretty amazing. It was kind of a surreal moment for us how he did it, and it was kind of like a sigh of relief. Like, man, this monkey's off our back of, getting out of the first round, and we're, got the first step complete, but we got to keep going.
Even after Aldridge chose to sign with the San Antonio Spurs in free agency, Dame explained to me how the relationship continued to grow.
We started to talk more when he wasn't on the team. After, I think, his first year in San Antonio, like, I was trying to tell him to come back. For like 2 years, I was like, come back.
It's the first year I left, he's like, you got to come home. You got to come home. You got to come home.
LaMarcus Aldridge.
So then, hearing it from him and me going to San Antonio and actually, experiencing it. At some point, I did try to get back, but Neil, the GM at the time, didn't want me back. Like, I was calling, trying to get back. My agent was calling. He was like, yeah, they don't want you back. When I tried to come back 2 or 3 times throughout my career, he never let it happen. And I even tried to go back at the end one last time. I was like, man, like, can I come back 1 year and like retire as a Trailblazer? And they wouldn't do it. If we would have had that time to grow old together, I see some definitely, a special happen, us getting at least 1 ring or at least getting to the finals.
With LaMarcus choosing to chart a new path on the Spurs, it was clear to Dame he would now have to become the leader of the team.
Before I walked out of the meeting, they asked me, like, are you ready to, like, lead a team? They asked me that. And I was like, yeah. And they was like, you sure? And I was like, yeah.
More on Behind the Bucks, presented by Gallagher, coming up after this.
Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher. Trust is the foundation of any successful partnership, especially when it comes to managing risk and planning your future. That's why businesses turn to Gallagher. With over 95 years of experience, Gallagher has the expertise to help businesses navigate complex challenges and seize new opportunities. As a proud partner of the Milwaukee Bucks, Gallagher is dedicated to building confidence together. To learn more, visit ajg.com. Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and H&R benefits consultant.
Dame's current teammate on the Milwaukee Bucks, Pat Connaughton, was drafted that offseason to the Portland Trail Blazers and saw how Dame's leadership helped create a winning culture for a young team many expected to be in a rebuilding phase.
I was fortunate. I played with Dame for 3 years in Portland.
For Pat, Dame's skills as a leader brought the best out of his teammates.
He was my vet. I was, my first 3 years were under his leadership of the Trailblazers team, guys like CJ McCollum, Ed Davis, Chris Haynes, like a lot of guys out there that really kind of took me under their wing. But to see how Dame led out in Portland, to see the runs that we made in Portland when everyone kind of counted us out.
And the impact Dame created in Portland carried far beyond the basketball court.
It was cool for me to spend my first 3 years with, in my opinion, the best Trailblazer to ever play, and to watch him break all these different records, to watch him really be revered in Portland for not just what he was able to accomplish on the floor, but for the things that he did off the floor, the things that he did in that community, the excitement that he brought to that city and state, and him to continually give back to it was really cool.
In the locker room after a recent game against the Trailblazers, Dame reflected on why giving back was so important to him.
The number one thing for me is to impact. I think when I first got drafted, the first thing my dad said to me, is it's great that you made it to the NBA. You're going to do a lot of great things, but the best thing you could do with, this platform and this opportunity is impact other people. That's not just teammates and on the court, but it's, the communities, the people who I'm in a position to touch and lift them up, So I've taken a lot of pride in that, and being able to have that type of impact on the organization and the city and then a bunch of other people, that's what I take a lot of pride in, and those are the type of things that give me, my greatest joy.
Dame's father, Houston Lillard Sr., spoke to us over the phone about why he instilled that purpose in his son.
Everybody's not able to do stuff for people all the time, but like he's seen me do, he's seen me take care of everybody, help everybody. On my side of the family and his mom's side of the family, it didn't matter. We helped each other. And with him accomplishing what he accomplished, it's just something that you don't have to do, but just have it in your mind and know that you can do it.
Motor Health President Dr. William Johnson, who became a mentor and close friend of Dame, saw firsthand the many ways Dame wanted to make a difference in the community.
One of the things that we did is we would do this backpack program to some of the schools in the Portland area. And he would show up and he would pack the backpacks with us. He would talk to every student there. He would stay till the last student was done. You witness it all the time. And the other great thing about it is he doesn't do it for the cameras. He does it only because it is who he is.
And on the court, the accolades continued to pile up.
Here is Lillard for the record. And he knocks it down. Congratulations to Damian Lillard. Knocking it down from the line, 21 points. And he has now moved past Clyde Drexler for the all-time scoring mark in Blazers history. Lillard, long-range three, and it's good! At the buzzer! Damian Lillard! Are you kidding me?
Dame will lead the Trailblazers to 8 straight playoff appearances, earn 7 All-Star and All-NBA selections, and become the all-time scoring leader in Trailblazers history. But the highest honor was when he was named as one of the NBA's top 75 players of all time, a feat that amazed his father, Houston Sr.
I was very surprised because it's something that I never thought of with top 75 or numbers like that. I figured he'd get to the Hall of Fame. That's a good feeling because that's a hard honor to achieve.
Despite all this success, the ultimate goal of winning the championship proved to be elusive and weighed on Dame. After trusting that the Trailblazers would continue to make moves that put the team in championship contention, Dame explained to me how the 2023 NBA draft ultimately led to his decision to request a trade from the team.
We ended up getting a pick, and I remember telling them, like, hey, if we get number 1 and y'all get Wemby, I remember saying it, like, that's perfect if we get him. And it was like, if we don't, it's going to be an asset that we can really use, Like, people going to want it. We're going to be able to really do some stuff. I was like, cool. And that just didn't end up being the route that the Blazers chose, and it just didn't make sense, at that point. If I wanted to win, it was just like, we could be a competitive team, but like I had done that so many times already. And I sat there and watched the draft with my dad in Paris. We watched it together. It was late as hell in Paris. Everybody else had laid down. Me and my dad was sitting on the couch watching the draft. And I remember, I knew my dad never wanted me to like leave Portland because I remember like the first pick went and then the second pick went and I remember him sitting there, he was like, watch, they finna trade the pick right here, watch. I'm like, bruh, they picking in 30 seconds. And the two, Wemby and Brandon Miller is off the board already. The writing is on the wall. He like, nah, watch, I'm telling like, he thought a trade was finna pop up. I'm like, so the pick happened, they picked Scoot. And even then, I wasn't like, I'm out, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, where do you go from here? You know what I'm saying? Like, you still got Ant, you still got Shaden, now you got Scoot, you got me. If it all fails, you know, you're gonna trade the 33-year-old at the time. So after the pick, like I'm sitting there, I just got up, I just went to sleep. My dad sat there and he finished watching the draft, but I was like, he really was like, watch, he's still thinking the trade, them trading the pick gonna come across the screen. I'm like, bruh, go to sleep. I'm telling you, my dad was for Portland all the way.
Dame's father, Houston Sr., gave his thoughts on how the draft impacted Dame's decision to lead the team to pursue a championship.
Interesting thing to me was to see what Portland was going to do with the number 3 pick. That was the main thing. It wasn't nothing really special. We just sat there, ate and watched the draft, and I don't remember exactly what we talked about, but we just talked through the draft. And, you know, when they picked, and they picked who they picked, and it wasn't nothing personal between us, but, you know, it was just some things that were said that wasn't right. And, you know, you got to go from there. Whatever happened after that, that's how it went.
But the choice to leave Portland was not an easy one and weighed on Dame throughout that summer. Dr. William Johnson recalled just how challenging it was for Dame.
That was very difficult for him. And I think that is one of those situations where you have two competing aspects. One, loyalty, and the other is his competitiveness. Because clearly he had things that he still wanted to accomplish in his NBA journey, whether that was winning a championship, another MVP, other things. And at the time, Portland obviously was going through a transition. And so he grappled with loyalty and wanting to move forward. So it was very, very difficult for him. And we've had long conversations, either over dinner or at his home, where we spent hours up to 1, 2 o'clock in the morning discussing that. So I think people have to really understand that he did not take that lightly. And that was very, very hard for him. But at the time, he was in his prime and he really wanted to continue his NBA journey and he had some more achievements that he wanted.
And it wasn't just a beloved franchise and fan base that he would have to leave behind. It was also being away from so many members of his family who had moved to Portland since he began his career. From Houston Sr.'s perspective, it was certainly a very difficult decision.
Everybody liked it there and still there. Everybody's still there. And he didn't want to leave there. You know, when you feel if you feel some loyalty is not there, then, no, never know.
But even after making his trade request public, Dame was still a member of the team as the following season quickly approached. And he was committed to being ready to play for the Trailblazers despite his hopes to be traded to a championship contender.
So like the last 2 weeks up until the point before I got traded, I was going into the facility every morning and I was working out. When I walked in, everybody came to the court I was working out. I'm like, what's up, Dame? Like, nobody said nothing about it. That's what was misunderstood the most is people thought it was like some type of bad blood or like I was mad at people and people was mad at me. It wasn't. Like I was going in there every morning, working out with the staff, like all of the people that was in the building, you know, we was talking. I mean, me and Joe wasn't talking, but it wasn't like I wasn't staring him down or nothing like that. You know, it was just like there was no beef.
As he waited for the situation to be resolved, Dame's agent Aaron Goodwin called him and suggested a destination that had not been in the headlines.
AG was like, hey, what about Milwaukee? Because we was having so much trouble getting the trade done to Miami. He was like, what about Milwaukee? You know, I think I might be able to work that out. And like you and Giannis, he was like, would you be open to that? I was like, yeah. And I think when I said yeah, he was still trying to make this happen, but I think that's when he pivoted and started like connecting the dots to get me to Milwaukee.
Milwaukee Bucks general manager John Horst gave us his initial reaction to first learning Damian Lillard may be available for a trade.
I thought if that's real, and obviously there's work to find out if that's real or not. Rumors are rumors. It's what makes our league go around. So you have to do your work to find out if that's a real thing or not. But if that's real, it'd be an incredible opportunity for our team, for our organization. And it would be on me and my staff to try to figure out a way to have an opportunity to potentially do something.
I'm Chris Haynes, and here's what to expect on the next Behind the Bucks, presented by Gallagher. When you eventually got back home that night, we spoke and you told me, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
What did you experience in that day what led you to believe, like, this is right?
Discomfort. Like, once I felt a little uncomfortable, like, damn, I don't know where I'm at. Like, I'm driving places, I don't know where I'm at. This isn't my team, you know? Like, I'm joining Giannis' team. I'm joining a new organization. Like, I wasn't in my comfort zone. Like, it was a new fight for me that I hadn't had to fight for over a decade. I wasn't gonna just go into a situation and it'd just be perfect and think it was gonna come. So, like, that's what made me feel like this is where it's supposed to be this way. Like, it's the test and then the reward that comes after the test, you know?
This has been a Bucks Plus audio production.